W. Hatchet.
Okay. And can you tell us about your participation in No Shave November?
Yeah. I'm participating in No Shave November as a senior in college because this really represents the last year that I believe facial hair won't have an impact on my profitability as in the marketplace, which is obviously where I'm going to be after I finish my undergraduate career. So it's my one last vestige to kind of remain autonomous in what I do with my facial hair before it begins to impact my professional life. I think that beards are generally frowned upon in the workplace for a number of reasons. I think that beards represent a break with most social norms because I believe that since the development of mass production of razor blades and shaving equipment, the more privileged class who's able to afford the shaving, materials did so as a representation of their status. Now, because that's so cheap with mass production these days, the marginal cost and all those things have gone down so much. Pretty much anybody can afford to, be shaved unless they're vagrants, and so it's become a mark of the kind of vagrant class that you would not have a beard, and then it's considered dirty for that reason. Is that necessarily true? Do beards necessarily represent less hygienic status? No, I don't think so. But I think that there's the social undertones in the professional workplace now that a beard represents someone who is not of as high capabilities or means. I'm pretty satisfied with it. We're, I think, on day 12 now, which is exciting. I usually, previous to November, shave every 3 days or so. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's coming solid. I mean, I'm excited because I was worried about it being a little bit spotty here and there, and it hasn't really seemed to do that. So.
What does No Shave November mean to you?
That's a good question. I think that No Shave November means a lot of different things to different people. Because there's a lot of different motivations for why someone would participate, I believe, in No Shave November. I already talked about the class thing, but in reverse to the shaved person necessarily seeming more of higher status, there's also the countercurrent that you could say that beard's a great equalizer in that it doesn't cost anybody anything to have a beard, so anybody can participate in No Shave November realistically without having to be of means or, purchase products or anything like that. So in one sense, I think people appreciate the outcry against a stratified society, and they like the egalitarian feel of allowing an entire month to go by without shaving or participating in the whole division between, these different sects of society and caste system that's created. Another part of it is I think there's a Freudian motivation in that, as a man in his natural state with, large amounts of hormones, obviously going to grow more facial hair and exhibit more masculine features. So I'd say that there's at least some sexual motivation to that whole thing because you're demonstrating that, look, I am a man and this is a manly feature, and beards are obviously a masculine feature because, women generally don't grow beards or are unable to. So just by default, you're necessarily expanding upon a masculine part of your identity. So I guess what it is it's this Freudian social behavior kind of wrapped in the laurels of egalitarianism, but at the same time it's done with this sort of punk rock individualist, attitude that says I'm different because it's not everyone, and it's not even the major current to participate in No Shave November. So it's interesting in that you're kind of routing for these egalitarian, ideas, but at the same time, you're not part of the larger society. You're actually part of a minority in the society, which it could be argued that you differentiate yourself in that sense. But that being said, it could also just go back to the Freudian explanation of, sexual motivations of attracting mates and such over the month of November. I mean, if you could call what Lewis has going on a beard, Lewis trying to grow a beard, and I think it shows, makes about as much sense as fornicating for virginity in my mind. I think that whatever he has going on, I kind of just feel bad for him. It's obviously a weaker attempt at participating in this sort of ritual, and it might have been better off for everybody if he just didn't go for it.
How did you hear about No Shave November?
That's a good question. I think it's like any other social convention. I mean, how did you hear about to drive on the right side of the road, or whatnot? It's just obviously ingrained into a culture, especially the adolescent college age culture, which is still trying to explore and navigate its identity so much that having this transient month where we all agree to do something out of the norm gives freedom to that expression and that experimentation, I think, because you know that it's not just you, that everybody's involved in doing this with you. So there's a communal feel to it, and I think that kind of, it's necessary to keep the communal feel going by just having it be a prominent aspect and known thing in our society.
Does Justin Giuffre with beard or Justin Giuffre without beard get more ladies?
The results are mixed. We'll say that. So there doesn't seem to be a strong preference toward one or the other, but what you will see is that women tend to like one or the other, that they're not appreciative of like Justin with or without a beard. They have strong feelings. So it's kind of a polarizing effect. So I guess you could say there's a subset of women, or anybody really, that likes Justin Giuffre without a beard, and there's a subset that wants Justin Giuffre to have a beard.
If you could, and you can take a second on this, if you could think of one person to equate, or one person to represent what your beard will be like. What it will be like, or your ideal beard? At the end of the month. Or your ideal beard.
Okay.
Speak in full sentences.
All right. My ideal beard is a tough question, because I think there's a lot to be said about the relationship between the short hair and the beard, or any generally how big your head hair is, because ultimately there's a very different look when your facial hair becomes longer than the hair on your head. And there's been plenty of influential thinkers and such that did that, and there's representative of those kind of ideas. The first one that comes to my mind is the Prophet Muhammad obviously had a shaved head and very long beard. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. With my short hair, I would kind of worry about my beard getting really long and what that might connotate about my religious beliefs, because I'm not Islamic. So I have to kind of balance that. If I were going to go with anybody, I think I might do Henry Thoreau. It just seems like you can't get much more manly and out there than that. And if you're going to do it, you might as well go to the extreme. Who am I actually going to end up looking at like? I'll probably actually end up looking like the guy at Trader Joe's who's got really short hair and a long beard.
People make all kinds of comments. The comments have increased as the beard gets longer, obviously. So like the last week has been every time I see someone who I haven't seen for like 2 days, they point it out to me. They're like, oh, you have a beard now. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know. So yeah, I got a lot of comments about that. And yes.
Do you like it when people touch it?
Not really, no. I think one of the challenges of No Shave November is that I also didn't trim the beard at all. Like this is just au naturel, if you will. And so it's kind of like it's scruffy in sort of a bad way, I think. Like if I was able to trim it, it might be a little bit more kept. So it's kind of weird when people touch it because it's not quite as good as it could be.
How does it feel for you?
Like just having it. I don't even notice it now. There's a point about a week and a half, 2 weeks in, it starts to get itchy. But then after keeping it like a week or so after that, it gets softer, and because it's longer, I'm just more used to it, so it stops being itchy after like 3 or so weeks in.
Are you ready to get rid of it?
Yeah, I am. It'll be nice to finally shave it all off.
Has the length of your beard exceeded the length of your hair on your head?
Not quite. I've got bad hat hair, but it's about the same, maybe in certain parts, but it hasn't quite exceeded the length of my head hair.
How does your beard compare to Lewis's beard?
As everyone will plainly see, my beard is far superior, no questions asked.
You didn't get next year?
No. The reason I did it this year is because next year, inevitably, hopefully, I'll have a job, and it will be necessary for me to keep somewhat more shaved than this. Yeah, I would say that there's certainly a masculine effect of having a beard that makes you just feel like, back in the days of the caveman, which is really nice. But, yeah, so I guess it comes to that.
You have real camaraderie with other guys on the street now?
Who have beards? Yeah. A lot of my, pretty much all my friends gave up on No Shave November because they couldn't handle it, the pressure. And yeah, they couldn't last, obviously. And so I feel when I see guys with beards, it's like, yeah, you know that he's a true man. You know he's devoted to his manliness, and that makes him as awesome as you are when you have a beard.
Do you get more girls or less girls with the beard?
I would say it's slightly less girls, but then in the last week or so, there's been an interesting thing where I think girls who like beards have started to come around more and be like, oh, so he's got a beard, and start seeing it as a positive thing. But there was definitely an awkward phase in the middle of the month when the beard wasn't quite fully grown. It was a little bit spotty still, a little weird. That people just didn't talk to me. It was an awkward request, but sure.
Where'd you get your shirt?
I actually got it from a roommate freshman year. So, yeah, that's why it's all very worn down now at this point. So.
Everybody should donate to Power of Love. A nonprofit. I volunteer for it. Justin knows about it. He can tell you all his beard.
Tell me about
Power of Love.
Power of Love.
It's something her parents do with Africa and
This is what your mom does.
yeah, they save little kids or something. I don't know. Yeah.